Um, Picture this for a second.
Yeah.
You are a highly educated professional.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting ready for this massive, really high-stakes court case.
Oh, I know exactly what story you're talking about. It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you decide to use a generative AI program to, help find some legal precedents. And the AI hands you this beautifully formatted list of past court cases.
Complete with, case numbers, judge names, all the perfect legal jargon.
Exactly. So you take this info, you are totally confident it's correct, and you actually submit it to the judge.
And
then you discover the truth. The AI just completely made up those cases. They literally did not exist. The citations were entirely fake.
And the terrifying question here isn't really why the machine made up those cases.
Right.
The truly terrifying question is why a team of highly paid, brilliant lawyers just blindly accepted it and staked their careers on it without double-checking.
And that psychological blind spot, that's exactly what we are dissecting today. Welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Our mission today is to answer one really critical modern question.
Wow.
How can you actually tell if an AI answer is reliable?
It's tougher than it sounds.
It really is. And to figure that out, we're pulling from some heavy hitters. We've got the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, a Microsoft research study on critical thinking.
Plus, Google DeepMind's FSAT-TTS benchmark suite.
Right, and the Stanford Civic Online Reasoning Curriculum. Basically, we have to look at both the architecture of the machines and, well, the architecture of our own brains.
We really have to start with the machine, though. When those lawyers asked for legal precedents, the AI didn't, query a database of actual court documents. It navigated its latent space, this massive multidimensional map of how words relate to each other based on its training data.
So it's just looking for patterns.
Exactly. It mapped the linguistic patterns of legal jargon. It knows that a judge's name is usually followed by a V, and then another name, and then some numbers. It just strings those tokens together because, statistically, they belong together.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, refers to this as confabulation.
Confabulation. Right?
It's a really crucial distinction because the AI isn't lying to you.
No, lying requires an intent to deceive, like a conscious knowledge of the truth.
Yeah. Generative AI simply generates highly probable text that just sometimes happens to be completely untethered from reality.
But see, confabulation only explains half the problem. The machine outputs the false info, but our human psychology is what actually weaponizes it.
Because our brains are lazy.
Well, our brains are hardwired to look for cognitive shortcuts, and that introduces this phenomenon known as automation bias.
Oh, right. This takes us back to that classic Real Words by Linda Skitka.
From 1999, yeah.
Yeah, and they weren't even looking at AI back then. They were looking at flight crews and automated warning systems in flight simulators.
And they found something fascinating.
They discovered that when humans are given a highly reliable but imperfect automated system, we naturally just stop paying attention.
Mental effort takes metabolic energy. If a machine looks like it's doing the heavy lifting, our brains relax to conserve that energy. We literally let the machine take the wheel.
And Skitka's research highlighted two ways this fails, right? Errors of omission and errors of commission.
Right, so an error of omission is passive. The automated system fails to alert you to a problem, so you just, omit your own safety check. You assume silence means safety.
But the lawyers in our opening story, they committed the second type.
The error of commission.
Yeah, that one is active. That happens when the automated system tells you to do something, and you actively follow its advice, even when you have the capacity or the evidence right in front of you to prove the system is wrong.
Just think about the cognitive load those lawyers were under. Prepping for a trial is completely exhausting.
Oh, absolutely.
So when the AI provided a list of cases, their fatigued brains just eagerly accepted that cognitive shortcut.
Pulling out a real legal database to manually verify each one was just too much effort.
Subconsciously, they just decided to trust the machine.
See, this reminds me of a regular GPS in your car.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Like, if my GPS tells me to turn left, but I can clearly see the road is blocked by a giant orange barricade,
Right.
I don't just drive into the barricade.
I would hope not.
Right. I trust my eyes over the machine. So why do we do this with AI? Why do smart people practically drive into the barricade when a chatbot tells them to?
Well, imagine if the GPS didn't just tell you to turn left. Imagine if it projected this beautiful hologram onto your windshield, painting a totally fake picture of a clear, freshly paved road right over that barricade.
Oh, wow. That's creepy.
That is exactly what generative AI does with text. It doesn't give you raw, messy data. It produces what we call the polished answer.
The polished answer.
Yeah, it gives you perfect grammar, clear formatting, bullet points, a really confident tone, and like we saw, even fake citations.
So it basically mimics the exact format of expert human knowledge.
Exactly. You look at it and you unconsciously think that because it sounds so professional, it must have verified its own facts.
The formatting creates an illusion of reliability. It just hacks our trust.
Which gets into something super profound from a recent Microsoft research study. They looked at 319 knowledge workers.
So people whose entire jobs rely on handling information, writing, analyzing.
Right, and they wanted to see how using Gen AI affected their self-reported critical thinking, and they found a direct correlation. When people have high confidence in the Gen AI tool, they report putting less effort into critical thinking.
Wait, I need to clarify something crucial here, because it's so easy to misinterpret that finding.
Yeah, definitely.
Using AI does not permanently damage your critical thinking skills. It does not make people less intelligent.
Absolutely not. It simply shifts where your cognitive energy goes.
Right, you spend less time brainstorming or drafting because the AI did it.
But the danger is when you don't reallocate that saved energy into verification.
But surely, expertise protects you from this.
You'd think so, right?
Like, if you are a professional chef and you ask an AI for a recipe and it tells you to bake a cake at 600 degrees,
your task-specific confidence flags that instantly.
yeah, you know the cake will turn to ash. Whereas a beginner might just trust the polished answer and burn their house down.
That's true. Expertise is a protective factor, but, and this is a big but, it is not an absolute shield.
Really?
Yeah, there was this massive 2025 systematic review by Romeo and Conti. They looked at human-AI collaboration, and they found that experts are decidedly not immune to AI errors or automation bias.
I guess because even experts get tired.
Precisely. Remember the cognitive load factor. If you're an expert facing a tight deadline, operating on 3 hours of sleep, your brain still really craves that metabolic shortcut.
So the illusion of reliability can fool anyone.
Anyone whose mental defenses are lowered by fatigue or distraction. The lawyers were experts in law, but that polished presentation completely bypassed their usual skepticism.
Okay, so if we can't completely rely on our own expertise to catch every single mistake, we really have to figure out how factual AI actually is, across different tasks.
Yeah, how often are these models actually confabulating?
Right, and to answer that, we look at Google DeepMind. They recently created a comprehensive evaluation tool called the FETS Benchmark Suite.
And they designed this to systematically test how well large language models handle factuality.
And just to be clear on the terminology from the sources, it is the FCTS Benchmark Suite, not FactCTS or anything else.
The FCTS Benchmark Suite, right.
And they broke it down into 4 distinct testing areas because they realized that, knowing a fact requires very different mechanisms from an AI depending on the prompt you give it.
The first area is the parametric benchmark. This tests the AI's internal knowledge.
So like a closed book exam.
Exactly. Can the AI access facts it learned during training, just navigating its latent space without looking anything up on the internet?
Got it. And the second is the search benchmark.
Right, the open book exam. It tests the AI's ability to use a web search tool, grab accurate info, and synthesize it correctly.
Okay, what's the third?
The multimodal benchmark. That tests if the AI can look at an image and answer questions about it factually.
And the fourth area is grounding, which is arguably the most fascinating one.
Oh, grounding is incredibly difficult for an AI.
Because it tests if the AI can provide an answer strictly based on a specific document you give it, without bringing in outside irrelevant info.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you hand it a 10-page report and say, summarize only this, you are asking it to fight its own architecture.
Because it just wants to pull from the billions of parameters it was trained on.
Keeping it restricted to just your document is a huge technical challenge. So they run these top-tier AI models through this intense 4-part suite.
And in their initial evaluation, one of the leading models, Gemini 3 Pro, achieved the highest overall FETS score.
Which was 68.8%.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. We have to be aggressively careful with how we interpret that 68.8% score.
Yes. Do not walk away from this thinking, oh, AI gets 1/3 of everyday questions wrong.
Right. That is absolutely not what this metric means. That 68.8% applies exclusively to this specific highly challenging benchmark suite.
The DeepMind researchers purposefully curated this test to be extremely difficult. They asked niche questions requiring complex, multi-step reasoning that pushes these models to their absolute limits.
So the real takeaway from the DeepMind research isn't just some flat percentage of failure.
No, the takeaway is that AI reliability isn't absolute. It is highly dependent on the specific task, the context, and whether it has access to outside tools.
Like, an AI might be near perfect at summarizing a well-known historical event from memory, but fail completely when asked to ground a complex legal analysis based on a single obscure document.
Exactly. And since the AI's reliability changes depending on the task, our trust in the AI has to dynamically change depending on the task too.
Which means we need a practical system to protect ourselves from automation bias.
And that system relies on a concept called calibrated trust.
Calibrated trust, I like that.
It's the antidote to the illusion of reliability. The goal isn't to trust AI completely, but you also shouldn't reject it entirely.
So it's about matching your trust to the risk.
Exactly. Matching your level of trust to the evidence the AI provides, weighed against the inherent risk of what you're doing.
So, to calibrate your trust, you need to ask yourself one ultimate question before you act on anything an AI tells you.
And what's that?
You ask, what happens if I'm wrong?
Oh, that question changes everything.
Right. Just contrast a low-risk task with a high-risk task. If I ask an AI, hey, give me 5 fun theme ideas for my 7-year-old's birthday party, what happens if the AI confabulates?
Nothing. You get a slightly weird party theme.
Exactly. The risk is virtually zero. You can maintain very high trust and expend zero cognitive energy verifying it.
But if you ask an AI, hey, does this medical symptom mean I should change my prescription dosage?
Or does this specific legal clause allow me to break my apartment lease?
What happens if you're wrong there? You could damage your health or end up in a devastating lawsuit. The cost of a mistake is massive.
Therefore, your trust must drop to zero and your verification effort must be extremely high.
But the question then becomes, how do we actually verify these high-risk answers without spending hours fact-checking every single sentence?
Because that totally defeats the purpose of using the AI in the first place.
Right. So we use a strategy from the Stanford Civic online reasoning curriculum. It's a highly effective technique called lateral reading.
Lateral reading. Because most of us naturally practice vertical reading, don't we?
Yeah, we stay on the same page, scrolling up and down, looking at how professional the website or the AI output looks. We just let the polished formatting convince us.
But lateral reading means breaking that illusion by leaving the original source entirely.
You open a new tab.
You verify the information across independent, reliable sites. You never ask the AI to verify if the AI is right.
You have to step outside the bubble.
Let's actually put this into practice and role-play how this works. Based on everything we've looked at today, NIST, Microsoft, DeepMind, Stanford, we can distill this into a practical 4-step framework.
Okay, let's invent a scenario.
Imagine you are a financial analyst. You ask an AI for an update on a specific tech company, and the AI spits back this really polished paragraph. It says, Company X saw a 15% drop in quarterly revenue yesterday, largely due to internal mismanagement by the new CEO, according to the Financial Times.
I mean, that sounds incredibly authoritative. So we apply step 1.
Which is, what exactly is the claim?
Before you verify, you have to isolate what the AI is actually asserting. In this case, there are 2 distinct claims. Claim A, revenue dropped 15% yesterday. Claim B, the Financial Times reported this was due to the CEO's mismanagement.
You have to pin down the exact assertions, which leads to step 2. What is the evidence?
Right. Did the AI provide a hyperlink to that Financial Times article? Or did it just name drop the publication to sound credible?
If there is no direct link you can click, your trust dial should immediately turn down.
Exactly. Then step 3, fact or inference.
This is critical for generative text.
You must separate established facts from AI speculation. The AI might accurately retrieve the fact that revenue went down 15%. But the claim that this drop is largely due to internal mismanagement might just be an inference.
So the AI might be connecting a totally separate article about the CEO's management style to the revenue drop.
Synthesizing an opinion that no human actually published, you have to untangle the hard data from the generated narrative.
And finally, step 4. Can I verify it independently?
This is the lateral reading in action.
You take that 15% revenue drop claim, you open a completely new search window, and you go directly to the Financial Times website, or like a recognized stock market database.
You bypass the AI entirely to see if a trusted, independent human source confirms the data.
If you walk through those 4 steps, isolating the claim, checking for evidence, separating fact from inference, and verifying independently, you shatter the illusion of reliability.
You overcome automation bias because you are actively engaging your critical thinking. You're forcing your brain out of its metabolic shortcut.
This just completely reframes how we interact with these systems.
It really does.
We started this deep dive by looking at how AI simply predicts linguistic patterns, which leads to confabulations like those fake court cases.
And we explored how our own brains betray us through automation bias because we're so eager to let the machine do the heavy lifting.
We saw how those polished, beautifully formatted answers act like that fake road painted on the windshield, just tricking our internal defenses.
And by looking at the FashiTS benchmark suite, we understand that AI reliability is deeply dependent on the task itself. We can't just paint these tools with a broad brush of always right or always wrong.
Which brings us back to that fundamental shift in what it means to be a professional in this new landscape.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, from the Microsoft study, it's all about becoming the task steward.
As AI gets faster and more articulate at generating content, writing the emails, summarizing reports, drafting code, the most valuable human skill of the future will not be producing answers.
No, the machine will produce the answers. The most valuable human skill will be auditing those answers.
Your value will lie in your ability to critically evaluate, verify, and ultimately take responsibility for the output.
You are the final safeguard against confabulation.
That is a really powerful way to look at the future. It puts the control and the responsibility right back in our hands. You are the auditor. You are the task steward.
You calibrate your trust by always asking, what happens if I'm wrong?
So as you go back to your work today and you open up your favorite generative AI tool to help with a task, I want to leave you with this one final thought. Don't judge an AI answer by how confident it sounds. Judge how much trust it has earned.